Happy Saturday and welcome into Better in Green Live. I am here with Ethan. We have a full slate of activities today in the betting world, in the sports world. We do have one of the best rivalries, one of the best traditions in college football, and that is the Army-Navy game that is kicking off at 3 p.m. Eastern time here. That game is being played in Landover, Maryland, the field for the Washington Commanders. And then we do have our first bowl game as well. Our bowl season is just kicking off. We have I forget the name of it, Veterans Bowl, I believe,
Yep.
between South Alabama and Western Michigan. And that is at, I believe, 9 p.m. tonight. So bowl season is kicking off here in college football. Again, we do have videos up on our YouTube page, Better in Green, under Power 5 Picks. We are previewing every single bowl game. Doesn't matter if it's the Veterans Bowl between South Alabama or Western Michigan or the playoff games. So we are previewing every single one, no matter how crappy of a matchup. If you do want a quick 3 to 5 minute video, giving out our bets, our preview of the game, who's opting in, who's transferring, stuff like that, go ahead and check out our YouTube page throughout the entirety of the college bowl season. We also have a pretty great slate of college basketball today. We have 2 ranked games. We also have a couple games that fit the criteria of me and Ethan's system that we like to play. So I'm eager to pick his brain about a couple potential college basketball bets that I am looking at. A couple NHL games, and we do have 2 NBA Cup games as well. Not like that really matters because the NBA is an absolute joke, but they do have their in-season, I believe it's a semis in the NBA Cup. In case anyone was interested or had nothing else to do with their Saturday, there is NBA. But Ethan, welcome. We'll start with, what did we say, college football? Let's start over here with college football. I know we made a video out also on this Army-Navy game. Both me and Ethan were leaning Navy at the time of recording, which was Wednesday. Has your mind changed at all come Saturday about this Army-Navy game?
Not really much at all. I think I mentioned in the video I wasn't sure if I'd bet it, and I still am kind of leaning on not betting this one. But yeah, Navy is still my heavy lean. I did say in the video if it didn't get to 7, that's probably the only way I would take it, was at the 6.5. And to my knowledge, it's still sitting 6.5. I guess one thing, that I've kind of more solidified, I actually do kind of like the over. I know military academy games are heavy unders. We're used to seeing the total of Navy Army be like 31. I think last year, was it even in the 20s?
There was one. I think it might have been last year. It was like 28 and a half.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
that might have been an Iowa game, either or.
Yeah. Well, it was every Iowa game and the military games. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's more offense to both these teams than what we're used to seeing. Yeah, if I do get involved, it's going to be on the Navy side, but I'm just not crazy about it. One player prop that I did hear that I have been immune to, but that quarterback for Army, do you know his name off the top of your head?
I think it's Bryson Daly.
Yes,
I'm not
Bryson
mistaken.
Daly. 2 touchdowns every single game this year except for one. He's minus 110, I believe, to rush for 2 touchdowns. So maybe. I mean, I feel like I'm jumping on too late at this point, but
Yeah, he is an absolute stud. I do enjoy watching him play. I think he was out a couple games, so I don't know if that was the game where he didn't score 2, or maybe that was the game he potentially got injured. But he is an absolute tank, and I believe, let me check him here. He is a senior. I'm not sure his eligibility. It's a little different in these military schools, so I don't know if he's going to do a 5th year or if this is his 5th year. I'm not sure. But yeah, the kid's an absolute tank, and this is probably the biggest game of his. Well, not true. Last week was probably the biggest game of Army's. Honestly, it was their first ever conference championship. They beat Tulane, the American, for their first ever conference championship game. So that was probably their biggest game. But again, you can't underplay the importance of Army Navy. So he's definitely going to want to get up for this game. Yeah, he hit 4 last week in the conference championship game. I do like looking, if you do, want to look at some stats, I recommend looking at both these teams' games against Air Force. Doesn't even look like he played against Air Force. But it's hard to tell, especially these military academies, how they do against normal opponents. And then when they start playing each other, it's weird because they just, like you said, military academy games are notorious for going under because it's a completely different game. When they play each other, it's just two run heavy teams. But it doesn't look like he played against Air Force. Did Army play in Air Force?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Navy beat Air Force 34-7.
I think Army was 20-3.
And Army, 20-3. Let me check the box score real quick. Yeah, no Bryson Daly in that game. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm still on the Navy side. I think Navy is going to lose this game by 3 to 4 points. So I don't know how I'm going to get involved. I don't really think Navy can win. I definitely think it'll come and play at the end of the game, but I might get involved like on an exact band or something. I usually don't recommend betting those, but these Army Navy games seems like they're always decided by 3 to 4 points. Last year was 6 points, 17-11. 2022 was 20-17. 21 was 17-13. 18 was 17-10. 17 was 14-13. 16 was 21-17. And there's a couple in there that, 15-0 in 2020, 31-7 in 2019. But majority of these matchups are close between Army and Navy. So, I think Army's going to do it by like 3 to 4 points. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to bet this game. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. The easy bet would be Navy on the cover, but I don't know how in love with that I am. I kind of want to do something a little crazier. Like you said, potentially Bryson Daly, 2 rushing touchdowns is always a decent bet there. I do kind of agree with you as well on the over in this game. I know that's kind of it's kind of sacrilegious to say because these games are notorious for going under. I did also see a stat on one of the Twitter accounts. I think me and you follow. It might have been someone else that they retweeted, but never has an Army, Navy, Air Force, those 3 matchups on the season gone over 50% for the over under. Both Army and Air Force and Navy and Air Force both went under. So this one, I don't know what I'm trying to say. That doesn't line up. But something like that I read.
So you're saying it's due.
It's due to go over. It's due to go over. Okay, here's another tweet. Since 2005, unders are 46, 11, and 2 in Service Academy games, 81%. 67% of the money is on the Army Navy under at 39.5. There was something else on here that I saw. Anyways, I'm going to be on Navy. I don't know how I'm going to be on them, but it's either going to be Navy spread. It's either going to be an exact band. I think you can get like maybe a 1 to 4 band on Army potentially. That would pay, I hope, pretty decent money there. But I am leaning Navy. I'll tweet it out because I still haven't decided my mind what I'm doing. But it's not going to be on Army in case anyone's wondering. I'm not going to get behind an 89% bet on the spread. And the line is going down. It's at 6.5 now. It was at 6 earlier today. I saw 5.5 on Friday. Doesn't make sense. The line keeps going down with 89, 81, 74, 76 on 4 different sites that I look at, all coming in percentages on Army. So I can't get behind Army. So I will be on Navy in some fashion. I know that was a really long, drawn out response, but as you can see, betting is a little difficult for me right now. I'm in my head a little too much. But yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Just a few quick notes, just while we're still on the topic, but just going quick back to Bryson Daly. This is such an Army quarterback for you. 877 passing yards and 8 passing touchdowns, 1,474 rushing yards and 29 rushing touchdowns. So that's Army QB to a T. But just touching on the over-under again too. Every public person that is looking to bet today is gonna scroll past Army Navy and like the Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah. Oh yeah, that game always goes under. I'm betting that. like not knowing a damn thing that's happened all year between these two teams and how much better these offenses have gotten. So, yeah, there's no way I could bet the under in this game. I could see like a 24-20 Army victory. Go over, Navy covers, Army wins. Maybe do a little same game parlay over, Navy to cover, Army to win.
I love it. I love it. Here's a stat I was looking at. I was misled. That Navy Air Force game actually went over. It was 34-7. So that went over the total. And here's a stat here. It actually goes against our over theory. But in 2024, this year, totals are 1-1. Again, the Army Air Force game went under. The Navy Air Force game went over. They haven't gone above 500 on the over. So a win here would be 2-1 on the over, 66% in a season since 2002. The under is 24-4-1 in Service Academy games the last decade, 51-11-3 since 2003. Yeah, I like the over still. I like the over.
I like it more.
Yeah. Okay. So potential same game parlay over, Army to win, Navy to cover. That would be
with the shocker there.
With the shocker, that's how you do it. Yeah, that would be the bet. I kind of like that quite a bit. I'll have to throw that into something. I might, for the sake of the parlay, tease it up to 7. But
yeah,
it's at 6 now for Army again.
Yeah,
like it even more for that one. Okay, I love it. Again, we'll have a tweet out. I will have a bet on this game. That game's kicking off in 4 hours here, so it's going to be. There's going to be a bet. So if you do want my official play, it will be on my Twitter account at Worst Bets. Ethan will probably have one on his as well, which is at eBainbridge26. We do post all of our plays on Twitter every single day. Let's go on to that second game. Not as exciting, but it is our first bowl game. So, of course, we have to talk about it. And, of course, I probably will bet it. Again, this is the Veterans Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama. This is University of South Alabama playing Western Michigan. USA is a 9.5-point favorite, 9-point favorite. Over under is sitting at 58. Both of us leaned Western Michigan. I was leaning the over. Has your opinion changed at all, or have you gotten any more info on this game?
No, not really. I don't think I'll bet this game. Just quick, because I did just go type in that same game parlay for Army Navy. It is plus 800, so nice odds there. And if you throw in Bryson Daly 2 touchdowns, 1,500.
Wow. Unfortunately, I can't bet the player props in Virginia, but I love the 800. I love that a lot. Was that alternate spread or just the -6?
That was just the 6.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, my opinion has not changed on Western Michigan and South Alabama there. And you know what? We have a solo video out on this game. It's very short. It's very easy to watch. So I'm just going to save my my opinion on this game so people can go tune into that video quick if they're interested. Like I said, it's probably not a game I'm looking to bet, but it is a good lean, I guess, on that game. But for the sake of keeping it shorter here and, we took the time to film that video. We kept it real short, real easy to watch. So I'll, if people want to check that out, it is up on our page right now.
Yeah, again, doing previews on every single bowl game. So, same for me. If you do want our thoughts on USA versus Western Michigan, the Veterans Bowl, that is over on our YouTube page. It's about 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes long. We give our bets, previews, and who's opting in and opting out over there. Let's quickly jump. We wanted to talk college basketball in depth here. Let's quickly jump to the 2 sports before college basketball. This is the NHL and the NBA. I'm not going to talk about the NBA at all unless you have something. Money is a little tight, and I don't really want to lose money on the NBA. I did win last night on a pretty good parlay, but I do think I have a $10 risk-free same-game parlay that I'll probably BS around, but nothing's jumping out the page to me in the NBA. Anything to you?
Yeah, so the only thing I really want to say on the NBA, if these were normal games, I would automatically be looking towards Milwaukee and Oklahoma City. With these being the cup games, I just have to believe Atlanta and Houston, especially Atlanta, want these games more than the Bucks, who are typically championship contenders. They've won 2 championships in the last few years. The Thunder are now, I think have the second best odds to win the championship behind Boston. You just got to feel like Houston and Atlanta care more about this. Again, especially Atlanta. I mean, this team hasn't been really even close to good. They had one solid year like 5 years ago, but so yeah, typically I would look towards the Bucks and the Thunder. I do think the Hawks is probably the best play on the board here. But then really the last thing I just want to ask, do you hate the NBA Cup as much as I do?
I think it's a way to try to get people to care during the regular season. If you're doing that in your regular season, it means your sport's a freaking joke.
Yeah.
Like,
I hate it.
yeah, and the courts suck. I
Yeah.
can't stand though. Did you see the Rockets won the other night? Which,
Yeah.
by the way, we lucked out on that Rockets bet.
Yeah.
But
Thank God we
also,
took the money line.
what the hell's Curry doing shooting a three with 9 seconds left?
Right.
There was 10 seconds on the, or 9 seconds on the shot clock, 10 seconds on the game clock. Just hold the ball. They weren't like, if they follow you, whatever, you're money. Anyways, that was a dumb decision by him. But
Yeah.
no, I can't say if you're making an in-season tournament to try to get views, which is probably something the MLB has thought about or will think about, because no one watches regular season NBA or MLB, no one watches regular season NBA, and it's just a joke. And yeah, it's an absolute joke. And of course, LeBron won it last year for the first ever year, so he can put that on his BS resume along with attending Diddy parties. So yeah, I think it's a joke.
Yeah.
I honestly think the NBA is a joke. I love that the ratings are plummeting. I'm
Yeah.
seeing these trends on like TikTok and Instagram of stuff of like boycotting celebrities on like social media. Like, so they'll like, like JoJo Siwa at all.
Yeah.
They're like avoid or ignore them on social media. So like they'll still view the video, but they won't like it. I say we do the same thing with the NBA. Let's just avoid watching the NBA and make them change something, because it's a terrible, terrible product. Throw
Yeah.
that in with the WNBA. Those are the two worst products in all of sports. An absolute joke. So yeah, I'll have a bet in my little risk-free same game parlay, but I'm not gonna act like I know who's going to win any of these games. I mean, the Bucks and the Thunder are extremely public, so just off the bat, I would lean the Hawks and the Rockets, but
Right.
your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. I just like this week has pissed me off because NHL basically takes 3 days off: Friday, Wednesday, Monday, and then they load up Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then college basketball is few and far between because exam week and holidays coming up. Obviously, college football is at its tail end, no midweek college football. So it's just been like a shit week for sports. And then the NBA, here's their chance to have a ton of games with a lot of viewership. And then the NBA Cup makes us have like a combined 9 games throughout the week. I'm like, what are we doing? This is just stupid. Yeah. Oh, well.
Not a good product. Not a good product. I'll watch the playoffs. I'll watch the, maybe a game on ESPN a week, but it's so freaking bad. All right, let's quickly get into the NHL. We do want to talk a little bit more in depth about college basketball. So we'll go to the NHL real quick. I'm eyeing 3 plays, and I most likely will play one of these. That is my go-to team, my Philadelphia Flyers. I'll probably take them on the money line tonight or today, this afternoon, 2:10 Eastern time. Against the Wild, they're plus 130. I'm already looking at that one. Haven't locked it in, but I 90% will be on the Flyers. I'm also leading the Wings, but don't really want to bet them because they suck. And I am going back to the Blue Jackets, but I don't know if I'm going to get there on a minus 190. Probably won't now that I'm looking at it, but I 90% will be on the Flyers, and I am leaning the Wings. Besides that, I know me and you kind of have a system throughout all sports, but it works for me, it works in the NHL and college basketball. There's a couple games that are eyeing to me, but these teams, I've written a list of these teams that I just can't back, and that is the Predators, the Oilers, the Capitals, and the Rangers. There might be one or two more, but those 4 teams, their games fit my my model today. But for whatever reason, the Predators are getting way too much love, and I don't know if it's because they have Stamkos. I don't know why. They suck, and they're kind of like the Niners, where they keep getting love and they're just not good. They keep waiting for them to turn around. They're just not good. Then the Oilers are the Oilers. They're the Chiefs of the NHL. The Capitals still are not getting any love, and they're really, really good. So that's kind of worrisome to me. You get some really fishy lines there. And then the Rangers are they're the Yankees of the NHL. So those four teams, and those four teams do have bets today. That usually would fit my system, but I just can't trust it because the lines are so weird with those four teams. There's a couple more I'm probably missing out on. The Bruins are kind of one of those teams. You got the Jets who are similar as well. But yeah, going to be on the Flyers, potentially the Wings. I really don't want to put money on Detroit, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you with the Rangers. That is my strongest lean that I'm not going to play today because they just, yeah, I would argue they're kind of like the Niners too, where they just aren't performing, but they're still getting the love like their Stanley Cup team, which they might be. I hope they are. I have a future on them, but yeah, just have not been winning. Um, yeah, so Rangers for me are kind of a stay away until they start winning. The Oilers were, however, I'm on the Oilers today. That is a bet I've already locked in, minus 140. And really the reason I like that, I was on the Oilers on Thursday against the Wild, easy 7-1 win there. They have won 4 straight now, so I do think after a slow start, they're starting to turn into a Stanley Cup champion team that they very well could be. And then really the main thing here, I bet the Oilers back on December 3rd on the road against Vegas. They did lose 0-1. Since then, they've scored 6, 4, 2, and 7. So putting up goals ever since getting shut out there. It's their last loss on their schedule as they did win their next 4. So I do really like the Oilers tonight. Vegas doesn't play quite as well on the road as they do at home. They're off an overtime win on the road against the Jets, who are, as of right now, the best team in the NHL. So, and they have a road game against the Wild on deck, who's another top team. So I do really like the Oilers. I have locked them in. And then just one prop that has been brought to my attention on another show that I listened to, so I cannot take any credit for this whatsoever. But defenseman for the Anaheim Ducks, Olin Zellweger is his name. Over 1.5 shots on goal. Now it's juicy. It's like I locked it in on Thursday, I think. He didn't play, so it got voided. It was like minus 190. But since November, his shots on goal are 3, 5, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4. So over 1.5. He's hit since November every game except one. You know, the true odds. Well, they should move it to 2.5, but the true odds are probably minus 400. So that's one that I'm just going to start betting until he fails me, which he probably will the first time I jump on him. But I'll be on that prop. I'm on the Oilers. That's probably all for me for the NHL.
Yeah. Again, follow us on Twitter for the official plays for NHL, NBA, and college football. But let's get into our college basketball. We do have 2 ranked matchups. One is starting here in about 45 minutes. That is number 17 Texas A&M at number 11 Purdue, kind of at Purdue, semi-home game. It's in Indianapolis, so not quite in West Lafayette, but that's going to be a great game. We also have number 8 Gonzaga at number 18 UConn. Again, semi-home game for UConn. This is at MSG, so just a couple miles away from UConn. We do have 3 other games that I would like to talk about and potentially some more. We have Dayton versus number 6 Marquette, Illinois versus number 1 Tennessee, and Arizona versus number 24 UCLA. And then any more that you like or I like, we can talk about briefly. But let's quick get into this noon game, the ranked game, A&M versus Purdue. Who are you leaning in this game?
Yeah, I don't love this game. Really quick, I will say we do have a pretty solid game going right now, Memphis and Clemson. Memphis currently up 12-5. They were a 5.5 point dog. It was a lean of mine. I did not lock it in. But if you're interested in betting Memphis, if Clemson does go on a little run here, if you can get plus the 5.5 or better, might be worth a look. But as far as A&M Purdue, don't think I'm going to bet this game. I have been wrong on A&M multiple times, including their last game out against Texas Tech. I had Texas Tech money line. A&M won that one. I believe I bet Rutgers against A&M. Not sure how many other games in here. Ohio State potentially. Not really sure how many other games I've bet against A&M, but has not gone well. And I can't really bet Purdue because they have Auburn on deck. But I don't know if Purdue is necessarily looking ahead or just trying to get, hope that they can split these two ranked games, and A&M's the easier of the two. So maybe they want the win here. And, if they lose to Auburn, it doesn't sting so bad. So there's nothing really standing out in this game to me. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't even have a lean in that one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Don't know if I'm going to bet it. Again, massive slate today, a lot of games, a lot of bets. So I don't really want to force anything, but I do lean Texas A&M here. I think it's a small line. I know Purdue, national runner-up last year, lost a lot of guys, but they're still winning games. Their one loss, or they just lost to Penn State by 11 a couple days ago. And then they have a loss to, I think, some good team, Marquette, where they lost by 18. I don't know. Purdue's still a really solid team. I know this isn't a true home game, but it's just right down the road. A&M has not played an away game in a long time. They're against, that's kind of a semi away. I would say it's probably their first game of the season, which was against UCF, was their first true away game. I know this one isn't true away since again it is at that neutral site, but they've been at home or at some place down south for a long time this season. So this is going to be a tough atmosphere for A&M, but I still like them to cover. I think they ultimately win. Don't know if I'm going to bet it, but that is my lean in that game. I am seeing a lot of people on action. Some of the guys that I follow are pouring in on Texas A&M. Again, that's not truly public pouring in. That is some of my trusted handicappers that I do like to tail are pouring in on A&M. So that is ultimately the one and kind of the only reason I'm leaning A&M, to be completely honest with you guys. Let's move on. Again, if there's anything popping up to you, just let me know.
Yeah, I do have one quick
Go ahead.
that I know we're probably not going to talk about, but it is another noon game. Again, don't know if I'm going to bet it, but Missouri off the win against first-ranked Kansas. You can now catch 27 points with LIU. I don't know anything about LIU, but it would simply just be a letdown spot for Missouri. So it's something I'm looking at. I don't know if I'll end up betting it, though.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. Again, don't know anything about LIU. Looks like they're terrible. But
Cool mascot. One of the best mascots in all sports, but
what is it?
it's a shark.
Oh, good for them. Good for
Yeah.
them. Yeah, I don't hate the thought process at all. We do have Ohio State and Auburn. Don't have any bet or action this game. It's a 12-point Auburn favorite. This game is played in Atlanta, Georgia, for the Holiday Hoopsgiving Classic or whatever. Don't have a bet on this game. Auburn is a very good team. I know they have one loss. There's a reason they're still number 2. Even with the loss, I think they're going to roll Ohio State, especially Ohio State off a massive win against Rutgers. I lean Auburn, but I'm not gonna place any bets in that one.
Same here.
Yeah. Keep moving down this board. Try not to skip any games. Again, there's a lot of games. For example, Xavier, Cincinnati. I do lean Cincy in this game. I think Xavier is very bad, even though they are 8-2. But again, not a game I'm looking to bet. Where's it at? Wisconsin and Butler are that second game of that Indy Classic following the A&M Purdue game. Again, really good game, semi-home game for Butler. Not going to bet that either. Would lean Butler in that one, but Wisconsin also is off 3 straight losses. Butler is off 2 straight losses. Not a game I'm looking to get involved in, but a decent matchup as well. And then go ahead.
No, never mind. Sorry.
Okay. That brings us to the 3 p.m. game, which I will be having a bet on this game simply because it fits the system, the mold that I follow almost to a T. And this is number 24 UCLA, who's 8-1 on the year, against Arizona, unranked 4-4. Tough start for Arizona. This is played, I believe, in a semi-home for Arizona. It's in Phoenix. I'm not quite sure where Arizona's campus is, but I don't think that's where it is. Arizona is a 4.5-point favorite here against number 24, one-loss UCLA. It's got to be Arizona. I'm probably just going to take them on the money line. These spreads I've been getting wrecked with, most notably that Illinois game a couple days ago. Losing by the hook is just painful. So I'm seeing minus 180 money line Arizona. pretty disgusting, might just half unit, but it fits a system to a T. I got to take it. Again, Arizona favored, not just favored, but a 4.5-point favorite against number 24 UCLA. How about you?
Yeah, I'm right there on Arizona. And yeah, UCLA off a true road win against 12th ranked Oregon, which obviously both now Big Ten teams, but their rivalry, if you will, goes deeper than the 1 year they've been in the Big Ten. Obviously, both coming from the Big 12. So potential letdown spot here, like you said, it's technically a road game for Arizona, but it's in Phoenix, so they'll have the home atmosphere. Fits the system. Yeah, I'm gonna give it another shot on the spread. Hope I don't get hooked, but yeah, I think Arizona wins by double digits.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Again, kind of just going down the list. There's a couple good games, just some that I just don't have bets on. LSU SMU is going to be a pretty good game, but something I'm not going to throw any coin on. Louisville, Kentucky, also a pretty good game. Not going to bet. And this brings me again. If there's anything in between, please speak up. But this brings me to the 5:30 game between number 1 Tennessee and Illinois. This game is at Illinois. Tennessee is just a small 1.5-point favorite on the road against Illinois. I'm on Illinois again simply because of the system. I actually faded Tennessee last week and it worked. I was on Miami at the plus 14. Miami wins by or loses by 13, but it was my fade on Tennessee for being their first week in the rankings as number 1, and I'm back to fading them today. Illinois does have 2 losses, jumped out of the rankings, which I think is a little ridiculous, but have an overtime loss to Northwestern, and then I don't even know who their other loss was to Alabama. So those 2 losses for Illinois, I mean, what are we doing? Top 25. But yeah, Illinois should be a ranked team. I think they're going to win it at home against number 1 Tennessee. So I will take them on the dog. I'll take the spread. I'll take the points at the 1.5. Again, not much different than a money line, but I do think Tennessee wins it against the number 1 team in the country, Tennessee.
Yep, I'm right there with you on Illinois. And yeah, really, this one just fits the mold. A little scarred after, like you said, we lost by the hook on Illinois on Tuesday against Wisconsin, but I think that win against Wisconsin gives them some momentum going in here. So yeah, I will be on Illinois. And then one I just want to quick go back to, a 3:30 game. It is 9th-ranked Florida at Arizona State here, and Arizona State is catching 7. Well, again, this is a Arizona State home game. It's played in Atlanta, but I think Arizona State's the side. You have Florida coming off a win. Well, they're 9-0, first of all, 9th in the country. A win against Virginia, which we all know is not the same Virginia team that we've seen in the past, but it still pops out on the schedule. And then they do have a road game against North Carolina on deck. And ASU is just kind of sneaky good. They have 1 loss this year to Gonzaga. Other than that, they're undefeated. No great wins to mention outside of St. Mary's was a pretty strong win, but yeah, I'm seeing it's opened 8.5. It's down to 7. I'm not sure where the money is, but that would tell me sharps are on Arizona State. I think it's a good spot for them to at least keep that one close.
Yep, I love it. Again, don't know really anything about either team. Didn't know Florida was good at basketball this year, but you learn something new every day. Moving down the slate, Marquette and Dayton. This brings us at the 7 p.m. start time. Again, nothing super interesting in between that 5:30 and 7. But this is number 6 Marquette, 9-1 at Dayton, unranked 8-2. Dayton, 1.5-point favorite against a number 6 team in the country. It's got to be Dayton. I'm not laying the 1.5. Just give me Dayton money line. That's going to be my bet. It looks like you can get them minus 120, maybe even better than that on some other books. But I will be on Dayton simply because it fits the mold. I love that Marquette is a top 10 team. I love that Dayton's unranked 8-2, yet is the favorite. It's got to be Dayton. Dayton has 2 losses this year against Iowa State and UNC. Nothing to be upset about. Marquette's 1 loss was to Iowa State as well. I think Dayton can hang with them. Dayton also beat UConn back in that Maui Invitational, I believe. So yeah, give me Dayton. I'll take a money line against Marquette.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Yeah, true home game for Dayton. So not one of those neutral sites. But yeah, I guess my one worry is, like you just mentioned, the win against UConn. Although there's not a ton of public betting college basketball right now, I don't think so. Um, but I think a lot of people could see like, oh, they beat UConn, whatever. But yeah, Marquette off the win against Wisconsin, which is always a big game, an in-state game, even though they're out of conference. And then after this one, they go straight into Big East play from here on out. So yeah, I think the spot for Dayton's nice at home, good home court advantage over there in Dayton. So that's maybe my favorite play on the board today.
I love it. I love it. And then this brings me to my our second ranked game, second and only ranked game. This is number 8 Gonzaga at number 18 UConn. Again, semi home game for UConn. This is at MSG right down the road. Gonzaga is a 2.5 point favorite. Over under is 152.5. I'm going to be on Gonzaga in this game, and I actually will be betting this, unlike my lean on the A&M Purdue, simply because I can't stand UConn, can't stand Hurley, and especially after his notes about the Maui Invitational, where he went 0 for 3, may I remind you, that he's done playing these away games and done going to places, and here he is playing on a neutral court at MSG against number 8 Gonzaga. Gonzaga also has 2 losses this year to Kentucky in overtime and a bad one to West Virginia in overtime. And then, like I said, UConn went defeated in that Maui Invitational. Also, UConn off of 2 big wins against Baylor and Texas. I think Gonzaga is going to take it to them. Love the over in this game. I think this is going to be a pretty high scoring game. But my favorite bet is going to be Gonzaga. Again, probably just going to take a money line, not going to mess around with points. But not one of my favorites, but I am going to bet it. Again, I'm betting with my heart instead of my brain completely. But just can't stand Hurley, and he's going to have something to say after he loses this game by saying, why wasn't this a home game? So give me Gonzaga. I do think they're the better team also. I think UConn's still riding their last season high, the last 2 season highs, and this is just not the same UConn team. So I'll take Gonzaga. They were a very experienced older team against a bunch of new guys over here on UConn.
Yeah, I completely agree on the Hurley thing. I think his comments after going 0-3 and saying you're never playing Maui again, like it was Maui's fault that you went 0-3. You completely quit against Dayton, by the way. I mean, you got blown out by almost 20 against an inferior opponent. Whatever. Bad coaching, but I do like UConn in this game. Their only 3 losses are in Maui. Again, I think he quit against Dayton, probably quit against Colorado. Was just whatever, throwing a hissy fit. But since then, I mean, wins against Baylor, wins against Texas. I faded them against Texas. It was not very close. Yeah, I kind of think UConn is back to being a top team here. It does make me nervous that Gonzaga is off overtime loss to Kentucky. I wish they would have won that game in overtime. I would have really liked UConn here, but it did take some extra time, a hard-fought game, and didn't go the way they wanted. Really, my strongest play for UConn here is this is their last ranked matchup outside of their conference. They then enter conference play, where as of now, Marquette is the only ranked team in the conference outside of UConn. So they have as of now, 2 ranked matchups on their schedule. Obviously, we might see Creighton get back up in there, potentially St. John's, maybe DePaul if they keep going, but I don't know. I think it's just a good opportunity for UConn to have that statement win on their schedule after dropping the 3 in Maui. Baylor was obviously a nice one, but they're kind of fluctuating. I just think a win against Gonzaga would be just a really nice one for that resume. And, it still is Dan Hurley, a back-to-back national champion coach, still a really good team. So my lean on that one is UConn, and I think they win that one outright.
Yeah, we will see. Again, I'm betting with my with my heart and my dislike of Hurley, which usually is never a great reasoning. I do have one more lean potential play for this slate. That is the OK State Oklahoma game. This is at Oklahoma. Again, a rivalry game. Oklahoma's number 13 in the country. Just a 4.5 point favorite at home against an inferior opponent in Oklahoma State. I do lean OK State to cover in this game. Don't know if I'm going to bet it. Doesn't completely fit the system, but I do see some sharps on it. Some of the guys that I do follow are taking OK State, which is kind of leaning me in that direction as well. So I might get involved there. Not quite sure. And then we do have one other really good game that I don't have a bet for, and that is Creighton, Alabama. Alabama is a massive 11.5-point favorite against a really tough Creighton team that just has a couple early losses on the year and has jumped out of the rankings. But like you said, I can see this Creighton team getting back up there in the top 25. So that is another good game, a game that I could not find a bet on, couldn't find an edge on, so I'm probably going to stay away. But besides that, I've not seen anything that I'm in love with. Do you have anything else in college basketball that you're looking at?
Yeah, I will literally echo exactly what you just said because I would basically just say the same thing. I lean Oklahoma State. Oklahoma has Michigan on deck, so a ranked matchup. Michigan still should be in the rankings. They did have that loss, but shouldn't knock them all the way out of the top 25. Yeah, and then just, kind of like what we talked about back in football season when Oklahoma State played in some of those matchups where it just feels like Oklahoma's moved on to bigger and better SEC things, and Oklahoma State is still looking at this as more of a rivalry than what Oklahoma will. So we'll see how the day goes. I might end up on Oklahoma State, and then exact same thing. I think Creighton, Alabama could be one of the better games of the day. I think you're crazy if you're taking the under in that one, but I don't know if I can get to the window on the over at like 164. But that should be a really fun game. But just like you said, I don't really find much of an edge either way in that one. I don't bet too many totals in college basketball, but that one should be high flying, fast paced, fun game.
Yeah, and if all else goes to shit, we got Hawaii versus Texas A&M CC tonight at 11:59 p.m. Hawaii is a 5.5-point favorite. Over unders 144.5. In case you do need to tuck me in, save me from selling my body for money. Bet that is your go-to game. But that's going to be the slate, guys. We do want to hop off here so we can quickly make some bets before this noon slate starts. But quickly, I'll just give my quick recap on my favorite bets for the day. I am probably going to take that Army Navy little Sam game parlay. That does include the over, does include Navy to cover, and does include Army to win. So I might be jumping on that. If not, it will be Navy on the spread. In college basketball, I am going to be on Arizona, Illinois, and Dayton. Might be jumping on. I probably will be jumping on Gonzaga and Oklahoma State, potentially Texas A&M here in 22 minutes. And then NHL right now, I'm leaning the Flyers. Don't know if I'll get involved. But again, follow me over on Twitter for the full list of my bets. And then Ethan, do you want to give your top ones for the day?
Yeah, so I will likely play that same game parlay as well. Probably just a half unit sprinkle on that. That might be it for college football. I'm locked in on the Oilers money line minus 140 in hockey. I will be looking for that Olin Zellweger, the defenseman for the Ducks, over 1.5 shots. It is going to be highly juiced, but take it. Nothing in NBA, and then college basketball. I'll tweet everything out, but off the top of my head, the ones I can think of are Illinois, Dayton. I'll tweet them out. That's all that's coming to the top of my head right now. Arizona. Those are probably my three strongest plays, and I might just leave it at that. Maybe add Arizona State, maybe add Oklahoma State.
I love it. And then again, make sure you guys do check out our YouTube page. We have videos and shows about pretty much every single sport. We will be covering every single college football bowl game. So we do have our 2 previews out today. If you do want to check those out, that does include the Army Navy preview as well as the South Alabama Western Michigan Veterans Bowl preview. So make sure you do follow along for the entirety of the college football bowl season as we will predict and preview every single game. A little more lengthy on the bigger games and the playoff matchups, but again, we will be covering, for example, the Veterans Bowl today against 2 6-6 teams. So we don't make any exceptions. So if you do want more info on those, make sure you check out our page. Also, we have our NFL video out now for Week 15. We have MMA, UFC with Bobby and Ben. We will have some college basketball shows, NHL shows, NBA shows. So make sure you guys do like, subscribe, and share over here on YouTube. we will be giving $1 to every sub we get between now and Christmas to St. Jude's for our little charity of the year. So we appreciate you guys. Good luck on all your bets, and make sure you do follow us along on Twitter for our official plays. But for now, we will see you guys potentially tomorrow for maybe a little NFL. If not, we will see you guys on Mondays live. See ya.
See you guys.